Captain's Log, number 1. We arrived into our first dimension at about 0700 this morning with a bit of a bumpy landing. I started to panic a little, thinking that we'd be stranded here, thinking that we'd have no way home. But thankfully, Drek reassured me that everything was fine. Some systems and modules, things that were too complicated for me to understand, needed to be tweaked. The one thing I did remember that he said is that in its current state, our vessel can travel to one dimension at a time, but once it's arrived, it'll need some time to recharge for the next trip. Now, if I were still at my old job, I would have been pushing on in patience, but I'm a free man now, a free man on an interdimensional journey. So I took the time Drek needed to fix up the ship to go explore this new world. We seemed to have landed in a small forested area with trees I hadn't really seen before. They were much shorter than the Krunipers of Zazentafil's northern pole, and they had these weird forked green leaves. Everything just seemed a whole lot greener here than back home. Though it wasn't long before I found myself in a bustling settlement of sorts. Tall towers of grayish stone and clear glass of various colors. Large poles held trios of red, green, and yellow lights that seemed to control the flow of movement from various transportation vehicles. Now, if this was everything this world had to offer, I would have been duly satisfied, but there was a hell of a lot more than I imagined. Humans seemed to be the dominant race here, but I started to question my own assumptions when I saw some strange scaled and furred people. It got weirder too. I saw some humans with some strange appendages, like there was this kid with a cannon on his back, and another who literally had a knife for a head. Eventually I got word from a local that a good chunk of this world inherited some sort of superpower that they called a quirk. A superpowered society! I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd come across a world like this. Ah, the wonders of interdimensional travel. But my adventure for that day was far from over. Oh no, if anything, this is where it gets good. Before the local finished her thought, a large explosion came from around the corner, and a young man with white hair and a black and white motherboard-designed jumpsuit came out of the smoke. That's what I think they're called. Motherboards. Anyways, he was telling people to evacuate the area and that it wasn't safe. And then a somewhat burly man in just as strange of a costume appeared out of the smoke, and I didn't need to hear anything else to know what was going on. Superpowered society, superheroes, and supervillains. The kid took up a fighting stance with a weird sludge substance covering his arms and looks back at the crowd. Now, I won't brag about it, but I've got an eye for the heroics, and this kid stood out to me. He had a confidence and maturity to him, that he would protect these people no matter what. Now, what would have truly been a highlight was cut short when Drek contacted me that the ship was ready. I would have loved to watch that fight play out, but to be fair, it probably wouldn't be all too safe. So I decided to take my leave and head back to the ship. I suppose we can't stay in each world forever, but Drek told me that we should be able to stay for longer periods of time in future locations, so that's the good news at least. But for the first location of the journey, I can't say I'm disappointed. It was quite the spectacle to see a superpowered world with real heroes and villains. Maybe if we come back to this world, we can see what's beyond the surface level. And I have a feeling that I'll see that kid again. Oh well, I've already got stories to bring home, so for now, I'll just prepare for the next dimension. This is Captain ED, signing off.
Hey, if you've listened all the way through this episode of A Captain's Log, Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to invest into my stories. And I thought I'd kind of do this little outro bit to kind of explain more in depth of what a captain's log is supposed to signify. So, if you read the little description of the series on Spotify or whatever platform you're listening on, this series is supposed to promote the other stories that I am writing that are all taking place within the same universe. And this one happens to be My Hero fan story, My Hero Academia fan story, titled My Hero Academia Twin Syndrome, which will hopefully be coming out within the coming week, actually. At the time of this upload, I will already be working on doing the voiceover for that one. So, yeah, this will only be, this is a bit of a special case though, because for future Captain's Logs, I plan on uploading the corresponding story about a week or two, or maybe even longer. It's more or less dependent on when I can get the voiceover recorded and when I can get it all edited and uploaded. But yeah, I thought I'd just take a little bit of time to explain what Eustice Drailer's adventures are really all about, and help promote my other stories in the future. So, yeah, again, thank you so much for listening all the way through, and I'll see you in the next story. Bye-bye!